What's up, guys? Back again today, bringing you another video, and today I want to talk about the new Amazon Prime animated series Invincible. So before we get started, let's check out the trailer so for those of you who don't know, we can get an idea of what we're talking about.
Come on.
Knock it off, Todd.
I think Amber's been pretty clear about how she feels. I'm nothing like my dad. I want to be just like you.
I fought to keep this planet safe. Your power's got to be due any day now, son.
Morning. I'm scared, Dad. What if I can't do this?
Follow me. Slow down. Land. I said land. Stop! Get up.
I'm actually getting used to this a little.
That's not good.
You need to be better. After everything he's done, how can I live up to all that?
You need to decide what kind of hero you want to be. That was you in the blue and the yellow.
Why don't you meet the team after school?
May we count on you in the future?
Yeah, I think so.
And bored of this.
Son, we need to talk. What I'm about to tell you will change everything.
Dad.
I wasn't ready before. Now I am.
You being a superhero is the coolest thing that's ever happened to me. Now take me flying or I'm gonna tell everyone you're invincible. Sorry, not sorry.
So yeah, that's the new animated series from Amazon Prime Video based on the comic book series of the same name. It's called Invincible. This is Compendium 1, and it is awesome. I can't say enough good things about it. It's made by, as you saw in the trailer, it's created by the same guy who did Walking Dead. He wrote it, and it's about the main character. Invincible is this kid, Mark Grayson, and he's your normal 18-year-old kid, high school senior. But the only thing is, his dad is the world's greatest superhero, Omni-Man, which is basically this universe's version of Superman. He's pretty much exactly like Superman, except I don't think he has like the heat ray vision or the X-ray vision or anything like that. He's super fast, super strong, and he can fly. And Mark, being his son, is going to inherit his powers. So it's a little bit of a coming of age story, showing off not just him dealing with being a superhero, but he also has to deal with the normal high school senior type stuff as well, and living up to his father's legacy. And it's just absolutely great. The show is fantastic. As you saw in the trailer, it is violent. It is not for little kids. There's profanity everywhere, every curse word imaginable except some of the really bad like racial slur ones. But they're dropping F-bombs all the time. And there is graphic violence. People are getting their limbs torn off, heads cut off, holes punched through them. There's blood everywhere. It is not for little kids. It is an adult animated superhero show. And the voice acting, top notch. The animation, really great, especially during the fight scenes. Every punch, every punch, you just feel it. The sound effects really resonate with each punch, and when they're running through buildings, specifically to my mind, I can think of one moment where Invincible tackled a dude through a building, and as they went through each like concrete wall of the building, you heard like a tum tum tum, like two thumbs up. Cannot recommend this enough. And also, I mean, I'm going to talk about the comic book series too, because I might as well. It's pretty accurate to the comic book series. there are certain things in the show that happen at different moments. They're not like, it's not, events don't take place in the exact same order as the comic book does. Certain things happen before they did in the comic book, certain things happen later than they did in the comic book, but it doesn't really affect the story all that much. It's still pretty accurate to the source material. And yeah, there's a lot of good twists and turns in here that you don't expect, especially in the first episode. And man, I just cannot recommend it enough. The show does drag out, not in a bad way, but it drags out the fight scenes a bit more. I mean, we see this problem, or at least I see this problem with anime when they directly adapt a manga. You know, the fights in a manga are just panels on a page, and it's like normally in a superhero fight, or a superhero fight that's cool to watch, they're going to be fighting for a while. There's going to be a lot of punches thrown, a lot of like tackles, throwing each other, using their powers, and it's going to take a while. That's hard to show in comic book format because you don't want to have just like 50 pages of just panels of punching and kicking and throwing and laser beams, and that's just, it takes too long, and it's just okay, more flipping through the pages, more fight, more fight, more fight. So in comic book format, the fights tend to be, you'll get a good panel with a good punch or a kick or whatnot, and then there'll be dialogue. And I think that's where a lot of the problems I have with anime, where there's a lot of talking in the fights, it's because they directly adapt the manga, and the manga doesn't drag out fights. The manga shows a person does an attack, maybe the opponent does a counter attack, throw a couple punches, and then it goes back to dialogue. Because to drag out a fight in a comic book, just showing page after page, panel after panel, just punches and kicks being thrown, that would get old after a while. So one of the things that the show does that I think is a great addition is it lengthens the fight scenes to, because it's animated, you can actually watch it happen. So we don't need to speed through them. You're not going to get bored watching it in animated form as you would kind of get bored reading it in comic book form. So that's good. And yeah, great characters. And on that note, this is kind of poking fun at a lot of popular, mainly DC characters. There are some Marvel characters in there that they're poking fun at, and it does poke a little bit of fun at the superhero genre overall. But just as a side note, hey, Amazon and whoever publishes The Boys comic book, this is how you do it. This is how you do adult superheroes. This is it right here. The boy, like, I've drawn many parallels between, not many, but like quite a few parallels between this and the show The Boys. The Boys is a live action Amazon Prime show also dealing with superheroes. And both of these feature a Justice League type team where the characters on the team and their powers are basically just 100% ripped off of the Justice League. There's a Batman type character, there's a Superman type character, there's a Flash, there's an Aquaman type character. This is better simply because in The Boys, it's supposed to be the superheroes are the bad guys and the normal people are trying to kill them. And that's just, I watched season 1, and when the time came to watch season 2 of The Boys, I just didn't really give a shit because I was just like, there should be no contest here. Like, the Superman character of The Boys is called Homelander, and that dude, why he is just kind of like tiptoeing around, I don't understand. Like, who can hurt him? No one can hurt him. If someone does something, one of his big things in the show The Boys, is he wants to get permission for superheroes to be superhuman beings to be used in the armed forces, and it's like, who's telling you no? You're literally a god. If you want to go into the armed forces and fight terrorists, just fly over there and do it. Like, what is the president of the United States going to say no? Go rip his head off. You've murdered people before. So that's something that like I just didn't really latch onto with The Boys. The idea that like it's the normal humans versus the superhumans. Okay, well, we know who wins that. The superhumans. They're fucking gods. This is not quite the same. There are evil superhumans, like really evil superhumans. And one of the big twists is one of the most evil superhumans, you don't suspect who it really, it turns out to be a character that you thought was a good guy. And it does a whole really good story arc of him where like he was evil, then he pretended to be good, and then he reveals that he's actually evil and he works for this evil organization empire, but then he changes and becomes good again. And yeah, like it's much better. And the fact that like the main heroes, the good guys, they're not up there in power level with the bad guys. The bad guys are definitely scary. Like you are out of your league. But at least the good guys have a chance. Like, I can believe this. It is a bit of an underdog story in the same way that The Boys is, but I can latch onto this better because I'm like, the underdogs at least have a chance. They at least have superpowers themselves. So with The Boys, I was just kind of like, okay, so the superhumans win, right? Normal people versus superhumans. Like, why Homelander lets anyone tell him what to do or piss him off, I don't understand. But anyway, just really great. I cannot recommend it enough. Just to give you an idea, this is Compendium 1. Like I said, this is like an omnibus, and there are 3 of these that make up the whole series. And that's another nice thing about Invincible, is that it is a finished story. It, like Robert Kirkman, he's done with it. There are 3 compendiums of this size that make up the whole series, and that's it. So they don't have to worry about running into like a Game of Thrones type issue where they might get ahead of the comic. They don't have to worry about that. It's all done and out there, so they can just adapt it. And to give you a good idea of where season 1 is and where it goes up to, this is Compendium 1 of the this is one of 3 that make up the whole story. And season 1, let's see if I can just give you a good idea here. Season 1 goes up to about season 1 is about here. So this is season 1 of the TV show. So season 1 doesn't even get through a third of the story. I could see us probably getting 3 seasons of the TV show just out of this first compendium, and 3 times 3 is 9. They have a lot of source material here that could take this show for a while. They could ideally go for 9 seasons if they wanted to, 9 or 10 seasons if they really span it out. But yeah, it's great. A lot of cool characters with cool, interesting powers. At times, you are kind of like, all right, that dude's just a rip-off of this DC character, or that dude's just a rip-off of this Marvel character. But you don't really seem to mind because they're poking fun at it in a way that you actually do kind of find humorous. So you tend to just be kind of okay with it. But I really recommend this. I absolutely love it. Amazon killed it with adapting it into an animated show. The animation's great. The voice acting is great. Everything is all, the sound effects and everything are great. Great characters, great powers, great story. The characters deep, like they have deep dynamic relationships with each other. And even though this is a complete story, it's not like the Marvel or DC where it just goes on forever. Robert Kirkman did not cut any corners in world building or establishing like deep lore. There is some, for those of you who like deep fictional lore type stuff, there is lore to be learned here. And man, it's just great. Cannot recommend it enough. Both the show and the comic. I recommend watching the show first to get into it. That's the way I got into it, and then I loved the show so much I immediately went out and looked for this, and I found it and bought it right away. I'm totally 100% going to read all of the series, and I cannot wait for more episodes of the TV show. But this review is probably going to be kind of shorter because I don't have anything negative to say about it. I absolutely love it. I think it's badass. Once again, not for kids though. Very violent, lots of profanity. Yeah. And on that note, normally these days I don't really go in for the whole high school genre, anything that's like involving high school. It's why I don't like a lot of shonen anime, because shonen is typically the gist of shonen is teenagers and young adults saving the world. I'm not a teenager or a young adult anymore, so I don't really go in for that. And plus, I find that a lot of like teenage young adult stories involving like high school drama and other shit like that, they don't really portray high school and that age accurately. It's kind of toned down. But this is not. Like the kids, they're, like I said, it's full of profanity. The kids are like getting with girls are getting with guys. They're worried about college. They did make some changes to characters for political correct and diversity reasons, but it doesn't detract anything. And like I said, I watched the show first, so watching the show, I didn't look at it going, oh, they changed that for some political correct diversity reason. I watched the show just going, okay, so that's that character, and I was fine with it. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, great animated show, great comic book. Cannot recommend it enough. You should all definitely check it out and give it a chance. Please hit the like button if you like what you saw here, you like this video. Check out some of my other videos on my channel if you think about it, and maybe subscribe. Other than that, I will see you guys next time.